Hey guys, welcome back to another show of Real Estate Uncensored, the Marketing Roundtable. We have an amazing co-host. We have Mr. Jake Wolf, Mr. Gene Volpe, Mr. Nick Sakis, and we have our guest, Paul. But I'm not going to tell you where he's from or what he does until we get through the countdown. Okay, I got to tell you, I love it. That's our new countdown. Jake and his minions, all of his wonderful employees created that for us. So that is an awesome new countdown. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is going to be awesome. Jake, say hello. How are you, buddy?
Hello, Greg McDaniel.
Hello, Jake Wolf. Glad to see you here, my friend. You are phenomenal. I love it to pieces. Nick Sakis, the ever shrinking man. How are you, brother?
Yes, sir. Dude, I like the new countdown. It's very festive. What do we think in the comments? We got to ask the people what they think.
Here, let me start it off. Meh.
Oh, well, you know what?
Gene's just mad because he couldn't talk over it. That's the only reason he doesn't like it.
Well, this is how I react to Gene. Bye-bye, Gene. Okay. And we're back to 4. Okay, now we're back to 5. Gene Volpe, the Evil Bald Ninja. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Doing great. I feel like we made the big time with that opener. That was pretty aggressive, pretty patriotic, if I might say so.
Well, actually, I bought that song about a year and change ago, and I put it on in front of all my YouTube stuff. So we have no, licensing issues or anything like that. So I gave it to Jake, and Jake and his team took on the run with it. But Jake, I want you to introduce our guest. Our guest is someone that you know and love, and near and dear to your heart. And this guy is a wizard behind the scenes. He just crushes skulls in all different ways, and all the positive ways, nothing negative. But please introduce our guest, Mr. Paul.
Absolutely. So we brought Mr. Paul here today. He's our intelligence manager over here at Clever Leads, and he works with all of our real estate agents doing some programmatic display, advanced addressable geofencing. So I know this is a brand new thing that everybody's been thinking about. How do I implement it into my real estate business, and then how it's historically been used in different industries. So we're going to really kind of break down what is this new technology, how it can be used for real estate agents, and then how we use it so effectively to go ahead and get hundreds of thousands of impressions directly into every single smart device underneath the roofs of the homes in the local area. So, yeah, Mr. Paul is joining us today to go ahead and kind of say hello a little bit.
Hi there. It's nice to meet everybody. Glad to be here and help you all out.
Yeah, so we're going to kind of drop through some of the different things that we utilize this technology, and then how we actually put it to work, right? So it's one thing to have it, but you also have to understand top of funnel, middle of funnel type strategies, what kind of messages that you're putting out there, all of the testing and things like that. So yeah, we're just going to kind of get into it a little bit.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Paul, welcome to the stage, my friend. Kind of share a little bit who you are, where you're from, what you do, kind of what you're doing in the background, kind of geofencing, the whole 9 yards.
Sure. I'd love to share that information with you all. Like Jake said, I work with the team there at Clever Leads. I come to the team with about over multiple decades of advertising experience, from the agency side to the startup side to the direct client side. I've also been working in the programmatic space, basically the bid for space in the industry that allows you to buy display and buy video and buy OTT large screen ads. And I've been doing that for close to a decade now. So my specialty is using data to target customers and finding that data to actually target those customers in the right way and connect those to objectives.
Nice. That's fascinating. A lot of people probably don't understand what that actually means. Mm-hmm. So can we break it down to dumb level? And I say that I'm referring to myself, so that I can understand exactly what the heck just came out of your mouth, because that sounded fascinating.
Sure. So to summarize and make it simple, what we do is we use data that's actually collected online to target consumers. And we target those consumers on various means, whether it could be your smart device, your smartphone, it could be your laptop, it could be your large screen television in your living room. We use all that data to actually make the ability to target those people with your ads and to run campaigns that are efficient and effective towards your objectives.
That is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Nick, I know that you have some background in this. What say you, my dear friend?
So one of the most interesting, we talk about YouTube all the time on this channel, right? I know Jake's a big fan of YouTube. One of the things that I love the most about programmatic or like this type of platform is being able to show a commercial in app on people's TVs when they're watching basically apps, right? So we all know that Roku's taken over the Apple TVs of the world, the Amazon Fire Sticks, all that stuff. For the most part, people are binge watching shows on apps and not necessarily waiting through commercials on TV. So the ability for you to take a commercial that you could run on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and also run that on someone's big screen based on their user behavior, where they are location-wise, it's a really, really powerful thing. And it's really cool to an interesting way to kind of navigate yourself into someone's house, really stealth-like.
Love
I
it.
was on the Weather Nation the other day, and I saw one of my my local agents on the big screen. So I stole some of the advertising spend. Apparently, I got pixeled on one of the advanced tracking websites.
Wait, let me see. You pixeled yourself? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it happens from time to time.
I have so many jokes with
You
that.
got to do it. So you got to keep the pipes clean. Is that what? Wait a minute.
Oh my God!
What Nick is alluding to is you have all this inventory, all these media outlets that are out there, and Nick mentioned a bunch of them. But you have you have an environment to where these media outlets are selling their advertising opportunities in a way almost like stock exchanges selling stocks, right? These people are actually buying all of this inventory using a lot of its data very quickly, and they're bidding for it. And that's what we do. And we do it across all these different types of platforms. Like it could be Pluto, it could be an app on your smartphone. But what we're doing is we're using that data. So it really doesn't matter what environment you're in, right? It could be your favorite weather app, or it could be your favorite, your large screen OTT app like Pluto. But the idea there is that we're finding the customer based on the data that we have to target them instead of relying solely on the environment of the ad.
So walk me through that a little bit. I mean, so if I go to MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, MSN, alphabetsoup.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you guys will pixel that environment. Then you'll buy ads on my behalf, and then I'll be able to be omnipresent for my clients. What's the cost generally for something like that?
Well, there was a bunch of questions that were there.
Yeah,
right? So first and foremost, those are all of the areas that we have the ability to go ahead and purchase advertisements on and place it in front of the people that we have already went out and targeted. So there's a couple different things that we can do. We'll get into addressable geofencing. So there's a lot of things that we know because we are in the real estate profession, right? You could have a list of expired audiences. You could have a neighborhood. So we love it. We're the most aggressive farmers in the real estate industry because we can go ahead and take that group of 500 homes and we can go ahead and load their addresses up into our intelligence network. And it automatically does a parcel match. And then we identify all of the smart devices that are typically inside that area. So geofencing has come about because of the location-based services and the tracking on a lot of our smart devices. Perfect example, Google Maps uses our specific location to tell us where we need to go. And there's a lot of other applications. The Weather Channel needs to give us the most accurate data and weather reporting, Weather Underground, various different things. So there's a lot of apps that are utilizing location-based services. Now, what happened during last year when we told everybody to just go home and stay home? Everybody went home and they started using their smart devices because everybody was concerned about the pandemic and we had the instructions. And so now it just got smarter and smarter. So ultimately, we're able to find all of the smart devices that dwell inside that parcel, that long location, and then start targeting those devices specifically. So now once we have those devices known, it's where you go. If somebody is frequenting a major news channel, if they're on one of the weather channels, if they're in app, things along those lines. Now we're able to go ahead and demand side real-time purchase advertisement and place it in front of them based upon where people are going and guarantee impressions to our audience. So that's one way of doing it. The other way that we go ahead and identify people is ultimately based upon what they're searching for. And I'm going to go ahead and let Paul talk a little bit about search because.
Okay, so one thing with purchases such as real estate, there is a lot of activity that's done online. People don't just randomly reach out. It's a life stage thing. So they're going in and they're doing a bunch of research related to either neighborhoods, other real estate related things, like maybe it's the lending rates, maybe it's the fact that they're relocating, what are the neighborhoods that they're in, what kind of house can they buy, all these things that they're doing online that is basically providing all kinds of signals that says, I'm actually a buyer or I'm actually a seller. And from all this data that actually they're doing, all this stuff that they're performing online is providing all this data, we are actually able to bring that in and target based on individual keywords that they're actually using. Let's say that they're searching for, home refinancing. Well, maybe that's a sign that somebody might want to sell. Maybe they're looking to move due to relocation. Well, that could be a buyer, right? There's a lot of different things that based on simple keywords in the text that they're reading or in the queries that they're actually searching when they're on websites, say like Zillow or some other website that may be out there that has an integrated search box, we can leverage that and target those consumers. It's really some of the best intent-based targeting when you're actually using it online.
Nice. Gene, Nick, give me some thoughts on your on how this can be leveraged, because a lot of folks just don't understand this technology. And I know Jake does, I know Paul does, but give me an idea of kind of how the average consumer could use this on a daily basis. So who would like to go first?
Give that one the sack. He's the master.
We talked about masturbator earlier, right? Yeah. So.
Oh, hey now.
Howard left.
No, man. So we talk about like Jake talks about top and middle, bottom of funnel, in those different stages, and being able to target people based on their audience location is just another level of sophistication to your marketing, right? So a lot of times you come into the world of marketing like, hey, I want to spend $500 or whatever, and I'm just going to throw some stuff at the wall and hope that I can get some leads on Facebook, right? And then once you start diving down into the different tactics that you can use, the geofencing is so powerful, especially like what Jake said with farming, because it's the digital way of what you used to be able to do, or you can still do with actual direct postcards, except now you can track everything. So like those expired lists, those, just a neighborhood in general. If you want to be the dominant player of a neighborhood, you can only go down to 15 miles now inside Facebook and Instagram, but with geofencing, you can actually chisel out the exact addresses that you want to be in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of times. So for me, it is an overall branding play. Like you get to get these thousands of impressions because you're guaranteed placement, where Facebook and Instagram is more of an auction. So it's usually less expensive to reach. But on the guaranteed placement side of things, that you're going to hit that house, those devices, say, 57 times in a month. And this is what the cost is going to be. So it's a really cool way to kind of leverage up. I'd love to hear Jake's point of view on this, or Paul. I'm typically not in the bandwagon of jump into geofencing immediately. That's usually like a second tier play for me. Only because of the dollars, and I know it's not that expensive, but it's usually not the first thing that I go to. So I'd like to hear their opinion on is this the first play? Do you guys recommend that immediately, or are you going to, regular pixel tracking of websites of people that are actually, going through traditional marketing before you do the geofencing stuff?
That's a great question. Jake, I'll take this one if you don't mind. So there are I'll say some basic foundational things that should be done. One of them is what we offer at Clever Leads, which is a retargeting capability. Somebody comes to your website, we have a pixel placed there. Now let's actually retarget them again when they leave, and we'll do it on apps or on websites or in video, whatever it may be. That's table stakes. You need to be there, right? That's hitting people that have come to you, that know of you, that know about you, and you just want to build another type of exposure to those visitors. But beyond that, you got to grow your base. And you mentioned farming. Well, a lot of people are going to go out there and they may do direct mail. They may do, they may walk the streets, whatever it may be, what they're doing to get in front of those houses, right? They may be buying a billboard, in the neighborhood, whatever they're doing to hit those houses in that farm that they have. Well, what we're talking about with doing that addressable geofencing is simply just translating that to a digital delivery. And so instead of just doing one postcard, either on the door or maybe it's in the mail slot or whatever, what we're doing is we're doing a digital campaign to that household and allowing you to build frequency instead of that one drop. And so through that, you're doing a campaign to that specific household. And if that household performs and does what you want them to do, sees video, actually, or maybe becomes a customer, we can take them out of that campaign. And then what we do is we then focus on net new ones. So in essence, it's not really doing anything different than what a lot of agents have been doing over time, which is to speak directly to that homeowner through a intimate means, whether it be a postcard or going to their door or whatever. But what we're talking about here is just doing it through the digital devices.
Yeah. So the teachings on this are quite interesting, right? So when we actually think about the customer journey online, all right. So postcard only says what you can fit on a 4x6. Okay. So we have the ability to go ahead and revolve different types of consumable content. So when we go into a home, we don't go with just one type of campaign necessarily. We always take every single piece of consumable content that might be relevant to selling right now in the current marketplace, social norms, building your brand, all the rest of these things. What's really nice is that we are putting these digital footprints inside of the home, and we're following people around wherever they traffic on the line. And it says we revolve different information in front of those folks, but they have embedded links. So when the actual touch happens, now all of a sudden they're back to a website where you have a video that you've produced with consumable content, which people like to go ahead and see. So this is, I like to think about farming from a business angle. And I teach all of the clever agents to choose a farm wisely. Okay, so it's not just some place that you like, but let's get the statistics built out of this farm. So here's a perfect example. Have an agent out of Ventura County. He chose a farm of about 1,000 homes. All right, went back to his title company, and I asked him to do some research on how many homes typically have sold in the last 12, 24, 36, as much data as we can so that we can assemble an average of average turnover. All right, so he came back, and the figure was right about 67 homes on average turnover. Then we take a look at what are the price points of the homes in that marketplace. If he turned one of those to his advantage, what would his commission be? And then take a look at your commission price versus amount that you're willing to spend to talk specifically to that audience day after day, month after month. So he's on track because he's the most omnipresent person communicating, while all of the competitors are sending a postcard, a letter every now and again, or doing old school type tactics. We're revolving consumable content into all of the homes on the television and in-app and wherever they go. And he has major influence and rapport with inside that community. So he found out that all he had to do was go ahead and sell one of those homes to justify his whole annual spend to maximize potential impressions into that audience at guaranteed 4 impressions per smart device every single day for 365 days a year. So his job now that he has the bridge and the vehicle to communicate, now it's about, okay, I need to rewind. And now I need to focus on creating good content that these people can go ahead and consume. So that's addressable. That's powerful.
Yeah, we talked about mid-funnel. I think it was Nick who mentioned the whole notion of a funnel, right? You have the extreme high funnel, which is a branding spot that you may see from like Coca-Cola on television, right? And their metrics are simply just to get that ad in front of somebody. Well, a lot of the agents out there, while they know that there's value in that, they also need to drive more leads. So I would venture to say that they're also doing some lower funnel stuff, but they're also doing mid funnel. And mid funnel is kind of that is a capability that supports a little bit of both. Let's take video. Let's say a video on CNBC.com, and you're watching your video play on there, and it breaks to an ad. Well, we have the ability to purchase those ads based if it's the right target and targeting data. We purchase that ad. That ad that's in that what we call pre-roll has the ability just to be seen, so we can track how long that ad is played in front of somebody. And we can also track whether somebody clicked on that ad. And then based on putting some technology on your websites, we can actually track, well, did they actually come in here and convert to a lead? So it's a little bit of a branding and a little bit of your ability to drive a lead. So we call that mid-funnel. And that, I think, is a great solution when you're talking about targeting through addressable, like Jake was talking, or as I mentioned, the targeting through the behavioral way through keywords and what people are searching and reading online.
I'd like to go ahead and put something out there to go ahead and talk about another way we utilize this technology right now. So with having a pixel, a pixel is a snippet of tracking code, ultimately, that is embedded into your digital footprints. So when somebody touches your website, your landing pages, your squeeze pages, you have the ability to recommunicate to them through paid advertising. Okay, so a lot of people are familiar, if they've been doing any type of Facebook ads, on how this works. And you all have experienced this if you've ever been shopping online somewhere for a new car, a basketball, a tent. And then next thing you know, you see inside your social feeds or in other places, oh my gosh, I was just talking about that. I was just searching for that. All of a sudden, I'm seeing advertisements on it. I know everybody's had that conversation, at least to themselves. So Facebook has made some changes over the last couple of years. We look at acquisition of audience quite differently. The ability to go ahead and bring somebody to your digital footprint, and then they're there. You trap them. Now you have the ability to monopolize communication, recommunicate, retarget to those audiences. So we look at acquisition of audience utilizing this technology as a huge advantage. So if we go out to the local marketplace, even in addressable, we can kind of fly our spaceship over one neighborhood. We can send advertisements down into those areas, have those audiences drive to our website. Now they're pixeled. Move the spaceship to the next part of the neighborhood, beam down, go ahead and bring them to our website. Now we have a audience that we've been able to build utilizing this technology because of what we know in the marketplace and go direct. And now you can go ahead and retarget, recommunicate to those people in more of a larger base scale. So we watch all of the retargeting audiences and the increase in percentages day over day and the amount of people, so we can build more of an audience to go ahead and communicate to, and ultimately increase our law of averages in favor of all of our real estate agents. Because if we are talking to 100,000 people that we've already put brand in front of on a daily basis, in comparison to our competitors, nobody's going to go ahead and match that. So very powerful way to acquire audience digitally so that you can control communication.
Who else is doing this, Paul? I mean, this is at a very high level. I mean, this is not for the amateur, right? Like Jake was talking about earlier with different companies. But I mean, are you seeing other real estate brokerages doing this right now, or is this on a trend? Walk me through that a little bit.
Actually, Jake and I were talking about this yesterday. You know, the tactics that we're using and the technology that we're using is being used by some of the largest companies that's out there in the industry. So what Clever Leads is actually put together and providing all of their agents is basically an access to a program that is leveraged by some of the largest brands that's out there. You know, it could be some of the brands in consumer goods. It could be some of the brands in real estate. It could be some of your major real estate companies, right, that are applying this. But the idea here is that you're making this accessible to the individual agent or the broker, which is outstanding. Because if you didn't have the power of the scale of the community, each individual broker agent would not be able to achieve this. So that's great. I mean, a lot of brands that are doing it, like I mentioned, CPG, the travel. Well, travel's a little light right now, given what we've been dealing with over the last few years. But we actually have a lot of auto that actually gets involved in this. You have some other means, like direct mail companies are getting involved in this and using our addressable geofencing to to actually be able to augment what they are doing in the marketplace, right? So, they want to deliver direct mail to their customers. They want to show additional lift. They need to build frequency. They need a digital solution to basically accompany that. And it's actually shown quite a bit of return. I mean, I've heard from friends that you've seen a 25% lift on that direct mail piece, on the performance of the campaign that would have normally gone out to the direct mail customers. But since they added the digital aspect, it actually showed a 25% lift in leads. So it's nothing small.
You know what? I learned about geofencing about 5 or 10 years ago. It's been a minute, right? And I was super impressed by it. I'm like, holy macaroni! Like, this is some serious fucking shit right here. And I reached out to a company here in Emeryville, and they're like, yeah, it's going to cost you $150,000 to sit at the table. I'm like, yeah, I'm a small real estate team. That's not going to fly. And I've always been intrigued by this and the power behind this. And then Gene, and because you're being creepily quiet, I hate it when you're quiet because I know you're plotting against my death when you're sitting there quietly. But I mean, when it comes to marketing this thing, I mean, you can put it around open houses. You can even put it around competitors' properties. Like, hey, you like 123 Main Street? Well, I have a listing that's just the same at 456 Maple. If you didn't like this one, come and check my property out. I have an open house at this time. You can go around if you're going to recruit for a brokerage. If you want to recruit people for your team, drop geofences around different offices. There's just endless possibilities for this thing. Also, when you put a geofence around every single one of your past clients and future clients, and drop hammer on them on a consistent basis and build this into your marketing budget and just be omnipresent so that you never ever get out of their mind. I mean, there's a guy, his name's Ulrich, I don't know, something like that. But he does YouTube ads, and this fool he's up in my Pinterest. Okay.
Yeah, he's retargeting you off of social because you've gotten pixeled. So he's staying omnipresent in front of you.
It's annoying as all hell, but you know what? I'm talking about him. So guess what?
Sort of.
Well, anyways, Gene, thanks for making that weird.
Only because you didn't remember his name. So it's like this dude, John, keeps showing up on my thing. I think he's targeting me. No, I'm teasing you. But you said something that I was thinking about. Like you said, when I'm eerily quiet, sometimes I'm thinking about extra ingredients to put into the recipe, right? Like for folks because I know this hurts my head too, right? And this is my business. And so I have to imagine the people watching are still like, what the hell? I still don't get this, which is the reason why you hire a company like Clever Leads, right? To do it for you. But I'm just trying to think of like a simple way. And I think, Paul, Nick, Jake would all have these answers, but just a simple thing. Like, why wouldn't I just drop a simple geofencing ad to people in an area that a house is for sale and just say, let me be your buyer's agent. If you want to go see this place, call me. Or I have this house for, like in my development, I told you there's 98 homes in my development. One down the street went up for sale. Why wouldn't I just advertise to this local area and just say, hey, this place is for sale. Let's go see it together. Like, give me a really simple application of this that somebody could possibly understand that's sitting there right now going, I still don't know what the hell these guys are talking about.
Sure. So let's say you have a house for sale, right? I mean, it's about creativity with the tool. And so you have a house for sale. What you could do is you could say, I need to actually reach out to not only the people that are in the nearby neighborhood, so I can geofence. I think your idea is a perfect one. Matter of fact, that people have done that. Just do a broad geofence around the whole neighborhood. We're not limited by just doing a house. It's actually based on latitude and longitude. So we can actually draw, if you could draw using a crayon on Google Map, we can basically replicate that in our tool, right? And that would create a geofence. So you can do that neighborhood. You could also say, I need to reach all the agents of buyers. And so you can actually geofence every real estate agent office in the area to say, hey, I have a property for sale, right? You can do all different types of things with geofencing. The limit that people have related to geofencing is their creativity. Because if you can find any area on a Google map, we can geofence it.
So, Paul, hold on, let me stop you. Because first of all, I friggin' love what you just did there. Because one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately, especially in this market, is sometimes agents will do these coming soons, right? And there's certain rules and regulations that you have to, once you have the listing agreement signed, you have so many hours to get it onto the MLS, all this other stuff, right? But like these things, they talk about a pocket listing. What if I had a pocket listing? I mean, how would I do that? And it's not on the MLS. And this might not make sense. I'm just kind of thinking about it now. But why wouldn't I be able to go out and geofence all 80 real estate offices in my area and market that pocket listing to other agents?
Well,
Okay.
Not help me though.
First off, you guys, everyone check with your broker and your brokerage in your legal team in regards to what your legal, side is on that. Because
it's still advertising. I wouldn't touch that one.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you touch it?
Because it's still advertising. They're at least okay. So like Greg is saying, check with your local board. But down here in Tampa, if you send emails out about a pocket listing, you can get your ass beat. So like you get fined. So any type of communication, previewing a property or anything that has to do with you trying to sell something or get somebody in a property before it hits the MLS is a red flag, at least here in Tampa. And I think that's how it is in most parts. So whether it's geofencing or Facebook groups or instant message, like that's tough. That's a tough.
But Jake is literally shaking his head, going, "What the fuck?"
Well,
is going on in this world?
I understand. Right now, inventory is extremely low. Most properties are going to go ahead and move. Okay, I totally understand that, ladies and gentlemen. But think back when we had kind of an even balanced market. Okay, so there's a tremendous amount of inventory. Any of these buyers agents, they might be lazy. They might not dig deep down into the MLS. Some of these properties might get hidden a little bit. Okay, so this is another way to go ahead and bring up more public awareness towards your listing on every single front. And also, to be honest with you, if you understand this technology and you're talking about utilizing it, it's a really good way to go ahead and win sellers listings over the other real estate agents that are walking in saying, "Hi, I'm Realtor." This is something that you can add towards your marketing mechanisms that you do and really wow and kind of awe your prospective sellers. Now, there is a company out there called Rex. Okay. Rex is starting to move into all of the states, possibly in a place near you, saying if you use a Rex agent, you don't have to use a standard real estate agent. You don't even have to list your property on the multiple listing service. If you guys don't know anything about Rex yet, I highly urge that you go over there and do it. So what they are doing is, as some of you who have seen some of my tech disruptor information, they say in the future of real estate, we don't need a multiple listing service anymore because we can advertise to buyers everywhere, and we're going to go ahead and get publicity for this home. Why go through the old school ways and traditional? Plus, we're going to save you a tremendous amount of money. They're advertising independently, going out after buyers, not putting the property in the multiple listing service, and Rex is coming to a town near you, tech disruptors, utilizing some of this technology to go ahead and take a listing, build a nice listing page for it, not on the multiple listing service, and then actually put it out to a whole bunch of people who are prospective buyers. It's already happening. Tech is already disrupting in ways like this. One of the ways that I like to go ahead and think about when you're talking about geofencing, Gino, as far as like brokerages, back when there were home shows. Ladies and gentlemen, when we go back to home shows and you're working with us, we're going to put a nice little geofence around the home show. Every single device that walks into that geofence throughout that duration of time now will start seeing advertisements of you, as much as you want to put in front of them and what you want to put in front of them. So I think it's important to go ahead and talk about how and why this technology even came about and why we're here now in the real estate industry. And I think that's important. So
Jake, hold on. Jake, I got to stop you there. Hold on. I got to stop you real quick, just so people understand this. So let's say that, because I love that. So we have this place up here called the Valley Forge Convention Center, and they have, the gun shows, the home shows, all the vendors, contractor shows. So if I were to hire you guys to put the fence around the Valley Forge Center on the 3 days people were there, what happens when those people leave there and go back to their homes 30 miles away?
Because they walked into that facility during that time is when we're able to identify the smart devices.
So can you keep hitting them?
Correct. Yeah. And so what we do is we start sending advertisements to all of those devices and everything else. And what's really nice is when they touch any of the digital advertisements, now they come back to your advanced tracking website where we have multiple scripts, view through scripts, retargeting. So now we're able to go ahead and trap them inside of our retargeting audiences and then continue to serve them.
Jesus.
Let me ask this to Paul. Paul, how in the heck does that work? I mean, I understand this to a very basic level, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like third grader level, maybe even second grader. But I want to have you kind of explain it to all of us, kind of, at a 10,000 foot level. Like, how does that even happen? I mean, and what's the power of that?
Right. Well, hopefully I don't get too technical here, but what we basically have behind the scenes is a huge data capability of storing historical data. And some of that historical data is going to be devices that we see that come into that geofence. In the case of, what was being said about the events, we put that fence around an event that lasts a day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever it may be, and whatever location, right? It could be an event that's made up that you make up. It could be that, you just know that there's something happening somewhere, like a concert or whatever. Well, you create that event, and then what we do is we recognize all the devices that come into that geofence, that virtual geofence, and we store those, and we actually have the ability then to target them in the future, up to 30 days.
Wow.
So that's kind of, but it is a massive infrastructure in the background, and that's why you have the economies of scale here that Clever Leads provides the agents, which is they are pulling together all the agents, and it's the collective. It's the power of the collective. You have some things that are mentioned here in some of the comments that are actually spot on, right? Which is, Veronica was mentioning that you can actually target a business that's around a property that's being sold. That's been done. You have major developments that are building near a major corporate campus because they know that those employees are going to be looking for houses. Well, you can basically geofence that whole entire corporate campus. If you have, say, a limited area, somebody here is mentioning is 3,000 homes is manageable. 3,000 homes is a great number of homes to do, and yes, totally manageable. We can break that up in many different ways. We could do all 3,000. The idea here is that with geofencing, it provides a lot of flexibility. And Jake and Clever Leads can get those addresses for those 3,000 homes, or let's say that an agent has gone out there and actually purchased addresses on their own. Well, they can also leverage those if they have the ability to use those addresses in multiple channels. We could even do those. There's a lot of different ways to actually run campaigns. But in the back end, is a infrastructure that is allowing us to collect data for the means of targeting consumers. And I do want to make sure that everybody also realizes that when we say collect data, we are adhering to every single policy that's out there, all the digital policies in California, in Washington, right? We are adhering to a lot of the privacy policies. We're even following things that you might read about Google and you might read about Apple implementing stuff. We follow those things, and our technology is actually being built to support and actually be a solution for those type of things. So we're not very concerned about that. But we are keeping an eye on that. But so we are forward thinking as far as that capability, but everything that we have been talking about is doable. The only thing that's really limiting in the use of the technology is how we think about it in our creativity.
It always comes back to creativity. And that's one of the most important things.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Jake. Sorry, buddy. Wrong button.
I wanted to talk about the history of this. All right. So as technology has evolved over the last 20 years, okay, 2000 came in, then this whole weird thing called the internet started to become more and more popular. People needed to go ahead and come online. There's traffic online. Well, we all know that all of a sudden smart devices got a lot smarter, and we have the tracking-based services on these phones. Okay, so when some of the large Fortune 500 companies all across the United States of America kind of got together and consolidated this top-end network, you would see they wanted to go ahead and know who were the patrons of their company. So if you walk into the Atlantis Casino or Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas or things like that, you walk in with your happy little smart device and go ahead and walk out. Now all of a sudden you start seeing advertisements for the casino. Come on back for this free steak and lobster dinner because they want you to go ahead and repatronize their business. So that was the big movement of why some of this stuff started to assemble in the earlier days, which was not too long ago on this platform. Then it starts to, the Fortune 500 companies are all dealing with it. Big advertising spends because they have big revenue, big national infrastructure. Then you start moving into small business. You got all of these happy little small businesses around town, and they wanted to, once again, identify competition. So they were able to put geofences around their competitors. So one wing shop is a competitor of my beer and wing shop on the other side of town. I can actually draw a geofence around that business. Anybody that walked in there, because I know they like eating wings, now starts getting advertisements for my business because I'm running a buy one, get one free offer over here and a free pitcher of beer this Friday. Well, we wanted to be able to understand attribution of our advertising. So we're able to track devices that we served advertisements at one location and to see if they walked into our geofence on the day that our advertisement was. Okay, so that was one way. Then you also have small businesses, and then who are their prospective customers? All the people that live inside these pretty little houses around town. So it started to move into more of how do we understand how to go ahead and advertise to the people who are prospective customers to come to these small businesses. Okay, so that's typically how it's used in a lot of industries. Okay, people around town will come patronize small business, large business. Then we start moving into search. So it's what is intent of our audience, and how do we find people with high intent that would be most ready to purchase my product or my service or come to my location. Now we're moving into the real estate industry real hard because, for us doing advertising at this high level for many years, even before getting into real estate like we are now, real estate is so awesome because we already know so much because we're real estate professionals. We know the good sides of towns, the bad side of towns. We're able to get addresses on expireds, FSBOs for empire owners. We know when the home shows are. We know what the social norms are inside of our community. And really it comes down to this. We are the bridge of communication direct to consumer. And what Paul says all the time is the stuff that we talk about at Clever Leads. It's literally about the creativity of the individual and creating consumable content that's going to be absorbed by your prospective customer. Geofencing, you need to deliver consistent communication to a lot of people all the time, multiple touch points. You got to create consumable content that we deliver utilizing this technology. And if you're not, you're just going to get passed by. Don't be one of those real estate agents with a static website with a picture of you saying, "Hi, I'm a realtor," because there's millions of those. So anyway, that's the creativity. That's the real message. So omnipresent and at a high level, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. We're talking hundreds of thousands of impressions versus one.
Yeah, Jake, we were talking yesterday about the situation where there is not much supply on the market. So it's basically a seller's market in some
the
places.
Elusive seller lead, my friend.
Right. Well, wouldn't it be great to be able to actually, based on the data that we actually can acquire, to identify those people that may be in the early stages of even opening their minds to selling? They may not even be they may not even know that they're open to that potential yet. We were talking about some things yesterday, which is maybe their second kid is going to college and that they're not going to have anybody in the household anymore. Maybe they have a house that's 15 years old. Maybe they are, looking to do some major remodels, and maybe they could just buy a different house instead. Wouldn't it be great to actually be able to leverage all these signals online to be actually to target these people and grow that known base? And that's what the behavioral targeting stuff does.
Well, there actually is. My brother, his name is Brad McDaniel. He has a company called Likely.ai. He does exactly that. Yeah. He has over 3,000 to 5,000 data points.
Greg, I can't see you. Right? Greg, where are you?
Oh, sorry.
Hello,
I'm looking at Paul. Hold on. There I am. Hello, handsome. Woo! There it is.
Gino talking to himself again.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, my brother Brad does have this technology, and he can build this, and he can
Sure.
create those lists, and you can drop hammer on all of these different properties and speak specifically with Clever Leads and with Gene and with Nick and everybody else. With their behind the scenes work, guys, your prospecting becomes basically, you don't have to do shit. I mean, all you have to do is show up at appointments when your VA sets them for you, because we're going to get Paul to do the geofencing. Jake is going to be doing, Clever Leads. Gene and Nick will be doing the back of the scene technology and marketing and everything else. And then me as a real estate agent, I just show up. I mean, it's really that simple, guys. There's nothing more than that. Sorry, I'm distracted by something I'm looking at on my phone.
So, and Nick, they specialize very heavy in social media, right? So, and they're masters at the craft of all things social, right? And kind of really getting into that mindset and building the communication, building the tribes. What's nice with that is, and I always say, the core of your universe needs to be at your website. It's something that you own, control. It's not rented space. Mm-hmm. It's a place that you put consumable content and that you have laced with all of the most advanced tracking pixels. The social networks and the social advertising is where a lot of people are. They're communicating, they're getting into the mix. As soon as you're able to distract any of those folks to drive them back to headquarters, which is at your website, now they become pixeled. Now, all of a sudden, this technology, if we are set up properly with our geofencing tactics, now all of a sudden they get retargeted on all of the major news, all of the Weather Channel, anywhere they go. And there's millions and millions of websites out there that open themselves up to allow for us to purchase advertising on demand side and in app and on the television. So Gino and Nick, with all of their tactics, literally are driving people to go ahead and get curious enough to find out what the hell we're doing over here at our headquarters, that website. And then all of a sudden they're now ours forevermore. We just start sending advertisements to them. So,
well, Rick, just to kind of let's cap on that for a second. I definitely appreciate those kind words, buddy. Jake mentioned something earlier about flying a spaceship over, and I really I really like that. First of all, I think that the geofencing technology, and probably half of what everybody said on this call has gone over the head of most of the people listening to the call, because it is very technical. But one thing that we know is creating an offer and communication is like the number one thing that you can do. Jake talked about, doing the digital farming, and Greg has talked about this before too. Like the old school, you might have heard from your broker 20 years ago, you should go around and pass out 50 business cards a day, right? That was kind of like the old school way. If you have 50 business cards, you've talked to that many people. That's what geofencing can help you with, that farming, that sort of audience building tactic, right? But what geofencing is, and Greg mentioned this, is like you don't have to do shit. You still have to have a core foundation and know exactly what you are communicating to your audience and what you're going to say. Mm-hmm. And I think more like me and Gene specialize more in that type of aspect of, okay, what is your overall brand look like? What does your overall message to the public look like? And how can we communicate that properly? Because if you hop right into geofencing, if you're a brand new agent listening to this call and you're like, oh my God, I got to call Jake and sign up for Clever Leads because that's the answer to my problem. Well, it probably isn't, because if you hopped into a Ferrari or a Lamborghini and you never drove a car before, you're going to crash it in 5 seconds, or you're not going to drive it as well as somebody else who's driven that car before. So the first step is really getting clear and concise on your message and what you want to communicate to the public, whether that's Facebook and Instagram or YouTube, and then figuring that out and putting it into a vehicle like Clever Leads with the, the ability to reach all those people as many times as you want with that purchase capability. But it still comes down to the offer, because you can have the best technology. If you don't have a good offer, if you don't have good communication skills, you got to start working on that stuff first. That's the rant.
I think it was a good piece of advice. I don't know if we lost Greg there. Oh, there he is. No. That was a good piece of advice. And look, here's the other part of it too, is that, I mean, I know the other piece of it that's real simple for me is that this is going to generate you new business. This is going to generate you new busy work, right? Because you're going to get new phone numbers. I'm watching it behind the scenes. You're going to get new email addresses. There's going to be communication. So if you're overwhelmed already and you're a one-man, one-woman show, I go back the next thing too. Just make sure you're prepared. What I would do is very quickly, if I felt like this was the move and I knew what my offers were and I knew what my message was, I would go out and find somebody to team up with and just say, hey, look, let's try this together. We'll split it down the middle. We'll take 50% of the sweat equity and 50% of the equity we got to put into advertise and spend the money on this stuff. And let's try it that way first. But I think there's definitely an element of making sure that your process behind the scenes and your systems to communicate to the people that are interested in your offers and your campaigns get handled properly, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes total sense. Guys, we're going to wrap this up. We are at almost an hour here right now. Gene, you look amazing. Nick, you're sexy as hell. Paul, you're incredible. Love you to pieces. And, well, Jake, you're the Sarge.
You could have left it at well, I think. Well.
Okay, you're fired. Goodbye. And we wonder why we have fun on this show, right, guys? Paul, let everybody know exactly who you are, where you're from, what you do, how to get a hold of you, so that people can reach out and ask more questions about geofencing and any of the other products that you guys offer.
Sure. So, Paul Enriquez and I work with Jake at Clever Leads. The best way to get a hold of me is actually reach out to Jake at Clever Leads, and then we can actually have a conversation together.
Okay.
Look forward to having that with anybody and everybody.
I love that. Jake, let's follow that up with you. How can they get a hold of you? What do you do, by the way? And how can they get a hold of you?
Clever Leads with a K. I'm going to start communicating with people on LinkedIn. I heard that was a nice place to go ahead and talk to people. Anyways, guys, you can find me. Just come over to cleverleads.com. Drop in your information. We'll get you into our private Facebook group where we really get down and dirty with all of the tips and tricks that are just having massive success across the nation. So it's a private group. There's only one way in. That's come knock on my door and say hello. Looking forward to meeting.
Can I come in, Mr. Jake?
We were on Tactical Tuesdays at 2 yesterday, and we were dropping some major knowledge bombs about $92,000 in GCI that we drove in 14 days.
Yeah, we did. We dropped some heavy bombs on that one. That was a good show. I want to bring in the Sakis, Mr. Nick, the ever-shrinking man. How do people get a hold of you? And tell them, what's your favorite color?
Yeah, guys. So if you want to get in touch, you could just Google Nick Sakis. I'm pretty much everywhere, social media-wise. I could use some more friends on Facebook, as cheesy as that sounds. But go ahead and follow me. If you want to learn everything about weight loss, I've actually lost a little bit of weight recently, so I've been documenting my journey. And if you guys want to see, what I specialize in is communicating through social media. So me documenting my journey is a perfect example of how I coach people to document their business. So if you like my Facebook feed and how I've documented my journey, you probably like working with me and helping you get your message out there to the public. So look forward to it.
Yeah, guys, that's not a joke. He inspires the living shit out of me. I mean, I've watched him do his path, and it's unbelievable. We have the Evil Bald Ninja, Mr. Gene Volpe, or the Volpinator. How do people get a hold of you?
Right through Jake. We just call Jake, sort of like Paul said. See if he can get in touch with me. Or you could also do what Nick said. Just Google Gene Volpe. Something tells me you'll be able to find me. Listen, I want to give kudos to Paul. I have to say this. Sometimes we get people on the phone and on the shows that just you can sort of know their shit. And it was fun listening to him. His creativity mixed with his technical expertise was very, very interesting. And I'm interested to speak with him more.
Yeah. No, I've heard Paul talk before, and guys, this is a dumbed down version of the conversation I've heard him have. My brain hurt by the time I got done listening to the conversation, being a fly on the wall. If you have any idea if you want to do lead generation in regards to geofencing, talk to Jake, get a hold of Paul. You guys work this stuff out, figure it out how it's going to build into your budget. Look, I own nothing in these companies. Okay. Literally, I don't make a damn cent. I actually have to fucking pay to do this podcast. And I bring people on like Paul because he has got such incredible knowledge in regards to helping you guys build lead gen. I got Nick Sakis, I got Gene Volpe, I got Jake Wolf. I have like assassins on the line. So go take a look at them. You know what, guys? I'm so glad you asked how I can.
How are you doing today, Greg McDaniel?
Jake's always on the ball, dude. Always.
Oh my God, I love you guys. You know what, guys? Go ahead and reach out and DM me, Greg McDaniel or Greg McDaniel REU on Instagram. Let's have a conversation. I love to talk about scripts, technology, video, and everything else. I refer to all these other wonderful gentlemen that are on the call today in regards to technology, but I can definitely help you out a little bit. So reach out to me there, guys. Paul, you're going to be a part of this, okay? So you need to be ready. Put your pants on. Here we go. We're going to have to put 3 colors
4
on the bow on the show.
4.
You want me to write them down for you, Greg, so you don't forget?
Actually, I have my pen out.
No, don't do it. I wanted to see him like that memory game. Try to remember it at the end.
Okay, I'm not going to do it.
All right, I hate both of you. Make Paul's just going to pick the color. All right, so Paul, the way that we play this game at the end of every show, we pick a color for the bow on the show. Just something stupid that we came up with a long time ago. So I want you to pick a color. Nick, Gene, and Jake. Go.
Green.
Son of a bitch.
The only color he knows.
Well, okay, so green is my brand, but I was going to say green for St. Patrick's Day, but thanks for stealing my show here, Paul.
I was thinking more for money, but that's okay, man.
Right now, because I've turned to disgust.
All right, so Nick, what's your color?
Black.
Black. Okay, and Gene, your color?
I'm going with hex code FF5733.
Okay, you're disqualified. Jake, what's your
Also known as orange.
We're gonna rock a little silver to the silver state of Nevada. Big shout out to all my Nevadans.
All right, guys, there it is. Guys, thanks for watching and listening to everything that we do. We love you to pieces. This is the Marketing Roundtable, where we all come together and we help you guys hopefully build a brand for yourself where you can make more money in our crazy, crazy world that we live in. Guys, go out to every single place that you listen to your podcast, either YouTube or anywhere else, and give us a 5-star, not a 2-star. That's going to help us get the algorithm to serve us up to more folks. I love each and every one of you guys. This is a green, black, orange, and silver bow on this show. And until next time, peace out, ninjas. We gone.